Hello, everybody.
All right, what's going on, man? What's going on, man? We back, episode 19, another one, bro.
We here, episode 19. I'm gonna just go ahead and get it out the way early. Disclaimer: the views expressed on this podcast are strictly our own and do not represent our employers or any affiliated organizations. You know the rest. We're not professionals in any area. Don't listen to us for tax advice. We're here to have conversations and let y'all know what's going on in the world. So take it with a grain of salt. And yeah, the decisions you make your own. Take some responsibility for once. Yes, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I don't know, man. We don't got no like. We have a couple things that's just kind of like been top of mind for us, and I think that a lot of our listeners and people that are kind of going through the same phases of life right now, I think can relate to a bit. So we really want to just kind of like pick up on a conversation. Obviously, there's been a ton of headlines, but it's like at a point, like, right, like we don't want this to be like we don't want to have like the same repetitive news headlines because it's getting to a point now where no matter what website you go on, CNN, CNBC, Fox, wherever, you're going to see the same thing. It's going to be something about Trump and Iran. It's going to be something about the stock market. It's going to be something like it's the World Cup. Like it feels like it's been the same headlines of the past few weeks. So we wanted to kind of like flip it back, make this episode a bit more personal, a bit more intimate. Yeah, it's like the big thing today. The first thing that we want to kind of like just jump off and start on was we're having this conversation, man. We want to talk about like some of the pressures, and this doesn't only apply to our industry, which is big tech for first time listeners or people who may not be familiar with our backgrounds, but this is also all the other like high pressure, high kind of expectation industries, right? We're talking about consulting, we're talking about investment banking, we're talking about finance, we're talking about like these very like high pressure, high expectation, like very kind of demanding corporate white collar jobs, right? And if we want to talk about like, a lot of times we see these super fancy titles, lucrative, signing bonuses and salaries.
Million dollar
And it
stock options.
yeah, right. And to a lot of people, right, to hungry college students, to people who are trying to make a name for themselves, get out into the world and make a splash in corporate, like this is very enticing to them, right? This is very much like this is what I work for, this is what I want, right? And so and rightfully so. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think that now that, like I said, both Thomas and myself have kind of been in the swing of things for almost a year now coming up. I think it makes a year for you next month, and then a year for me in August, right? So it's like I said, by no means do we have 10 years in our respective roles, but it's like you can learn a lot in a year. And so one of the biggest things that's kind of like been like I think a recurring theme for us has just been like obviously the difference between what's plastered online and what actually goes on behind the scenes. I think can apply to a lot of things, but I want to talk about a lot just about like some of the mental health implications of kind of like the expectations and kind of like just the kind of like grueling. I don't want to say grueling, but like some of the high kind of like demand behind or expectations behind like some of the work that we do. And how that kind of like translates to like, how you carry yourself and how that kind of makes you, how it makes you feel. I don't want to disrespect like actual people who are doing like real like physical labor who really have something to complain about. People who are like, welding or like on oil rigs or things like that, or like kind of like doing manual labor, things like that. By no means are these comparable. But I really do kind of just want to touch a bit on like the mental health aspect and kind of like just like what does that look like behind the scenes? Like what does that look like when you actually are working for one of the biggest companies in the world and it feels like, stuff just keeps piling on top of you. Like, and it's like, in your mind, it's like, hey, I'm getting paid X amount of money. I need to keep performing. I need to keep succeeding with all these kind of like looming pressures of things on the background, right? There's all these things about, agentic AI, right? There's things about layoffs. There's things about like, your team being an underperformer in the company, right? So it's all these like, reorgs in the company. Like it's all these kind of like floating themes, I think, that go around in the back of our heads while trying to balance being, a top performer, someone who still delivers impact, someone who still does a really good job at, doing their job, right? So I think like all these things, like it's a lot, it's a lot of different, I think, routes we can go down, but wanted to kind of get your perspective on what's that's been like for you and what you would share to someone who's considering, trying to get into one of these spaces that we're in right now.
Yeah, if I was someone trying to get into these spaces, I mean, I talk to people who are actively coming in or still in school or looking to learn more. It's difficult because the mindset and the way that I look at things changes every few months because it feels like I hit one wall where I break through and I learn something or I have a new realization about this is how this works. But then things change, and that has multiple factors into it, right? That has the agentic AI, that has the definition of what your role is. Like I'm a product manager, but I work with designers, developers, and other product managers. And in reality, none of that's going to matter, right?
Hmm.
Like you follow the tea leaves. If you're a product manager, you're cooked. If you're a designer, you're cooked. If you're a developer, you're cooked. You want to know why? Because they want builders, right? So that's what makes it harder for me to share with people is like they want a builder What that means, I don't know, but I have to figure it out. I don't think anyone knows. So, and if you don't do those things, like Malcolm said, the mental health aspect, you get gaslit into doing those things. Like, for example, I'm working on something where, it's been taking a long time. People weren't doing what they were supposed to do in, the way that, it needed to be done to help move things along. And that's okay. Everyone's priority is not the same. But, me, I just said, hey, you know what? I'm getting pressured by all these people. I'm getting told this is taking too long. But at the same time, they're telling me, hey, you're getting screwed over. Your early in career wasn't like this when I started. But then they're also telling me, like, make sure you take your days off. Make sure you enjoy yourself. But then you're also getting told to do all these things. So it's like, you know what? Screw it. Like, you're just getting gaslit into doing things. They say, "Oh, it's okay," but then you kinda have to stick with it. So, leveraging tools, I did someone else's job, and then I showed the proof in the pudding, which, like, in my opinion, in this day and age, it's not even about staying within your lane and following the rules. Obviously, don't do anything illegal, but it's about making
Mhm.
progress. It's about making things happen because all of these jobs and rules that people care so much about that have been in the industry for such a long time, they need to realize, like, stuff is changing. So when I did that, yeah, it lit a little bit of a fire. Some people were upset, and it's like, okay, I'm willing to work, but it's a shame that I have to then use AI to show you how your job can be replaced in a certain extent just for you to care enough to do something. So for everyone who's trying to come in, this is just my perspective right now. It might change. If you're coming, depending on the space you're going into, you just need to make sure that you're doing the absolute best you can to stay abreast of what's going on, and don't be
Mhm.
so stuck your ways that you're limiting growth for yourself, and don't let other people slow you down either. If someone's slowing you down, make sure that it's something that they're really slowing down, like you need to have access or whatever the case. If it's like a developer thing or design thing, if you have access to company AI, man, just try it out. Like, just do it, because I guarantee you those leaders would much rather see some progress being made than you saying, "Oh, I'm waiting on such and such." But that's just kind of top of mind for me right now. I mean, we'll see how things go. I'm still learning a lot, definitely learning a lot. But my role, like, I think my 1 year of experience is not reflected in what I've actually done. I'd argue I have more than that, and the scope of my role covers more than my job title, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that applies to a lot of people. I think in these spaces, I think one thing, like another kind of recurring theme I see is people, I think both of us kind of fall, in this category, but people doing either a lot more than kind of like the main kind of like R&Rs of their job title or of their that's actually indicative of their level. But they take on a lot more work, right? They expand the scope of their work, they expand the scope of the things that they kind of contribute to, for a couple things, right? It's either for people that are chasing promotions, people that are trying to show that they can take on more work, they can do more regardless of their job title. There's people who are resource constrained; they may not have the people to support them, so they have no choice but to take on this new work. Or it can just honestly be a mix of all those things, right? But it's like, and I don't want people to hear this and frame it as like, oh, you guys are ungrateful. It's people that would kill to be in your shoes right now. That's not the case, right? That's not the case. And I think that's it's a very elementary view, like, because I think, like, with that logic, you should never complain about anything because there's always somebody that would want your spot regardless of what. Now, granted, we have our thoughts and our reservations. Like, there's a ton of good that has come. I think a ton of, like, blessings as far as, like, socially, financially, professionally, that have come with this new kind of career journey that both of us have kind of stepped into. But of course, like with any experience, right, you're going to have your good and your bad, right? And so it's like, it's not so much that we're talking about the bad for the sake of don't do this, don't do that, but it's more so like the awareness of that, because we all see the good, right? You don't have to look far and wide to see the good of being at a big tech company, right? People have been saying that people started like that's how someone argued that computer science became as oversaturated as it is because people were so like it just started flooding every social media feed, right? I'm a computer science major. I started working at Netflix, at Meta, at Google, at Amazon, at
400K.
for 400K, right? So people saw this, they're like, oh, this is the move. This is where I need to be, right? But it's like, man, we're in 2026 now, right? So it's not like, for one, a computer science degree does not guarantee you a job at a FANG company anymore. It doesn't guarantee you a job at NVIDIA. It doesn't guarantee you a job at Google. It doesn't guarantee you a job, period. Actually, there are so many, like, I think this is the highest, rate of unemployment for like new college graduates ever coming out with like all these advanced technical degrees. And that's not to blame them and the work that they put in, but that's the state of the job market right now. Things have become so oversaturated that the people that are in these spaces, like, you should really be willing to listen to like what those experiences are like, because you're not going to get like these kind of like, firsthand, like real kind of in-depth, I think, explanations anywhere else. Um, like to Thomas's point, I think we're in the same boat to a degree, right? I think I'm also kind of like in the same situation where it's like, I think in my role, I take on um a lot more than I think my job title or my level implies. However, that's also because like that's also because like, like I can't fault all that on something else. Like to it, I am still like a go getter, and I do want to show my team that like, hey, I am capable of doing this and delivering on this and executing on this. But sometimes it's just like it comes down to just biting off more than you can chew, right? Like it's pause. Like it can very well be like a one of those type of situations where it's like, all right, you see an opportunity, and like, I know people have heard this advice before when you're super young in your career. You want to talk to old people, they're gonna be like, anytime someone offers you some extra work, say yes, take it on, take it on, take it on. And that is good and all, but you do have to, I hope people understand, like, it's a lot easier than it sounds, right? Because you're gonna say yes to all these things. You're gonna get looped into all these additional meetings, all these extra blocks in your calendar. Now you have so many more things that you're juggling, trying to deliver on, trying to provide status updates on, and coordinate across a ton of different teams and a ton of different like stakeholders. It makes your day to day a lot more complex, and it adds a lot more nuance that you have to consider that you weren't thinking about before. um
You gotta manage expectations.
you do have to manage
Like,
expectations, and I
yeah,
think
it's not saying no every time. It's just saying like
mhm,
I can, but I'll have to reprioritize.
exactly, and it's knowing like what like how much bandwidth you have as an individual contributor, and knowing how to like rebalance, like you said, like rebalance those priorities to make sure that you're still delivering on the things you said you would deliver on at the beginning of the year. Because one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to get into these, you don't want to get into these companies, into these areas and say, hey, align with your manager on these expectations for, let's say, the fiscal year, for the fiscal quarter, whatever. And let's say you're doing that. Then someone comes along and like, hey, I need your help. You're a smart young person. You're a smart young man, young lady. I need your help with this. Hey, I got you. You know what? Boom, boom, boom. You're delivering that. You're doing good work. Someone else grabs you. Hey, I need your help with this. Hey, I need your help with this. You're saying yes and yes and yes to everybody. You become so busy with all these additional projects that you signed up on. You forgot what you aligned with your manager on with in the first place. And at the end of the day, what you get, this may not be the same at every company, but I know at our company, right? You are evaluated based on what you've said and wrote, like put down in writing at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the season of evaluation periods that you said you were going to deliver on. That's what's evaluated. It's not the new things that you picked up, because nobody told you to do that, right? Like, yeah, we get it. You're a go getter, and sometimes you may actually have a really good manager who's super flexible and understands like your situation and circumstance, and like, hey, you know what? I am going to reward you for taking on these new things. But it's a difference between taking on new projects and new things and completely neglecting your original priorities. That is where it becomes a problem, right? So it's like if you have the bandwidth and you have the flexibility and the coordination to be able to balance your original priorities plus these new things, hey, go after it. If anything, you're probably going to fast track your next promotion. You're probably going to fast track the next level that you go to, right? But when you start losing track of those things, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it affects your performance, and that's when it makes you look bad for taking on new things. So it's not saying don't be a go getter. It's not saying don't be hungry. It's not saying don't take that next step. It's saying be smart, be intentional about how you take on new assignments, how you prioritize, and how well. Like, it also depends on you and your boss as your manager relationship. How well is that going to go with your boss? Like, what are they going to think about it? Are they going to be on board with it? Like, these are things that I think that you have to consider that aren't, always thoroughly explained, because it's easier to say yes to everything than actually give the explanation I just gave for the last 3 minutes. Right. So, um, that's just another one of those, I think, things that are just like kind of hidden behind doors in spaces like big tech or, anywhere else. But go ahead.
Now, I was gonna add to that. Think about the value of what you're doing too, because you can knock out a bunch of stuff. I've tried working on a bunch of things, been able to make some progress, but like you're told that's low value. That doesn't mean anything. So, like
Mm-hmm.
Michael said, you could fast track a promo or a bonus or whatever the case if there's budget. Let's not forget that if there's budget, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of places right now,
But
if
it's
your
tight.
name,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're not
tight. It's tight.
artificial intelligence, or if you're
It's
not
tight.
top took up, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
tight. Yeah, yeah. If you get someone might get a bonus or someone might get a good reward, or you might not get much. That's just unfortunately how the game is played. So
Mm-hmm.
you also have to think about the rewards of your work. You have to think about the impact, because if you deliver on a bunch of things, I've literally seen a manager. They said they didn't give an employee a promotion or something. I don't even know what company this was, but they said they didn't give them the promotion they wanted. And then that employee was like, "Well, I grinded. I was putting in 60 hours a week. I was working weekends. I delivered on all these things." And the manager straight up said, "Well, I gave it to this other person because their work was more visible. We need someone to
Oh
do
my
the grunt
God.
work."
That is
And
another, that's a great point, bro.
it's like, bro, it's like
That is a great point.
they say like their work is more visible, and we need someone to do the grunt work. And people are criticizing it like, well, why do you have this person just doing all grunt work? So that there's no justification for them. And also, before we continue with that, I just want to say back to your earlier point with like the privilege. It's not lost on us how blessed we are. It's not lost on us the spaces
No,
we're in.
no.
And
Please do not misconstrue our words, bro. I beg. If you have
please don't.
listened this far, yeah, please
Yeah,
don't.
and it's like it's hard to understand shoes that you're not in, and
Mhm.
we want to hear everyone's opinion. So like, please DM us. Instagram. We have an email, but Instagram is probably the best way for us to know that you're real and that you're actually human. So DM us. We can talk and see what can happen from there. But like, these are the experiences we have. We obviously can't speak on being CEOs. We can't speak on being truck drivers. We don't, so we're not comparing to those things. Also, without going too far, people need to realize just because you're in a space of privilege doesn't mean that you are invalid in your thoughts. Like, for example, if someone's in California and they make $1 million a year, let's say it's a person making $1 million a year, their spouse or partner doesn't work and they have kids, right? Someone who lives somewhere else where the cost of living is cheaper, they might say, $1 million. Why is that person complaining? Why is that person complaining and they make $1 million a year? I'm struggling. They don't need to complain. You might not understand. Yes, they make $1 million. California's taking a
Yeah,
chunk of that. The government's taking a chunk of that
33% of that. That's already off.
off the top. So at the end of it, they might have what, let's say 400K to work with, and then the cost of living and then if they have a spouse and kids and it's not like people are rolling. Yes, $1 million is great, and there's people in California making it work for much less. However, people look at people in other situations and think that it's so much different, and it's really not. Like,
Hmm.
a million is an exaggeration, but I'm just saying, like, depending on situations, unless you know someone's full circumstance, you shouldn't assume that they're coming from a place of ignorance or
Or,
arrogance with things. But
or entitlement. Yeah.
entitled, I mean, even though, yeah, they're on the West Coast or in places where it's a lot of money, there are a lot of entitled people. I was
Oh
actually
yeah,
just
for
talking
sure.
with an Amazon employee about that the other day, like an Amazon return employee in the Whole Foods. She was like, "Yeah, these
Hmm.
people are entitled. They come up to me talking about where's my return." And she said one lady got mad because they scanned the wrong code, and she was like, "Well, you showed us the code."
Yeah.
It's like, it's not my
Yeah.
fault.
Nah, it's nuts, bro. Like
But
it's
but yeah, back to the thing. I know I kind of got off topic there, but with the grunt work versus the shown work.
Visibility. Yeah.
Yeah, you have some thoughts on that, or no?
Yeah, no, no. I was gonna say like that's another good thing, man. That's like one thing I have noticed is that the people get rewarded. The people who get rewarded, it's not always who does the good work. It's who does the good work that gets noticed, right? Like, because I know so many there, and you will find this on any team that you're on across any industry, right? No matter where you're at, there's going to be someone who does really, really, really good work, like talking about like industry standard work, like really good work, super ambitious, really hard worker, always puts their best foot forward. And there's going to be someone who's on the project that gets the attention from the VP, from the CVP, from the COO, from the partners, from the general managers, from the directors, right, from the principal level people. At the end of the day, people are going to reward you based on what they see. It's one thing for hearsay to hear, hey, this guy's doing really good work. This young lady's doing really good work. They're doing good. They're doing good. He's doing this. I've seen it with my own eyes versus something that you can see. Because at that point, it becomes a thing of like what's tangible and what's not, right? If I can see in front of my face as a VP, like, hey, put these two guys up for promotion. Let's see, right? One guy has all these projects that have implications across the company, across different orgs, across different teams, across different partner teams, sister teams, whatever you want to call it. And it's hitting on all cylinders, right? Right. Like you work with all these different software engineers, you work with these product people, you work with these product marketing people, you work with finance, you work with supply chain. You're like your work touches everyone versus someone who may be on a more kind of like, narrow, kind of like maybe single purposed project that still has, is arguably just, super impactful as well. But it's like whose work like goes further, reaches further, right? And goes further up that chain. That's a lot of times what it comes down to, right? And it's like, sometimes it may not always be the right decision, but it's essentially a decision based off only the information that they have at hand, right? Because it's like at the end of the day, like once again with circumstances, put yourself in someone else's shoes. If you're someone that's in charge of a promotion, in charge of putting someone on the next level, you want to see data. You want to see how that impact has become. It's one thing, obviously, hey, if I get two people and it's both of their managers telling me they did really good work, okay, all right, you guys are their managers, of course. Like, but show me something that kind of proves or kind of, if you're the VP, you're the person that's going to like more than likely you'll go with the person that delivered really good impact. They executed well, but their work just touched more teams and it made a larger impact for the business, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Like, how did you impact the business? How did you make us more money? How did you save us more money? Like, how did you make us more profitable? That's what it comes down to. And so it's like when evaluating that, that's a lot of the times what's coming down to. So like make sure that that's like, especially for early in career folks, a lot of the times it's easy to get caught up, like Thomas said, in that grunt work because it's like, hey, my manager gave me this, I'm going to do this. My teammate gave me this, I'm going to do this. My dev gave me this, I'm going to do this. My product manager gave me this, I'm going to do this, right? At a certain point, to get to that next level, to get to where you're trying to get to, there has to be a certain mm, there has to be a certain like level of initiative you're willing to take to go out and go get it for yourself, right? To go out and go grab that visibility, to go make those projects visible on your own, right? And it's not always like a super streamlined path to do that. It's not always like a walk in the park to go do that. Sometimes you have to, tussle and get over some people to get your hands on a project that's like, hey, this is meaningful. This shows that I can expand the scope of my work. This shows I can get to the next level and execute, on that next level, right? So, all kind of always like that's another kind of thing that like, and that's why I say it's like it can get really stressful in these big tech spaces because it's just so many things that's always kind of like on our mind. Like it's so many things that we're always considering. Like, is my work visible enough? Am I performing well? Does my manager think I'm doing good? Do my teammates think I'm doing good? Does my senior leadership think I'm doing good? What's my next deadline? Am I about to get laid off? Am I about to get replaced by AI? Am I using AI enough? Am I coding enough? Am I using agents enough? Right. It's like and sometimes some people may not think about it like this, some people, but I know like for a lot of early in career folks and a lot of people who are even well off in their career, it's hard, it's easier said than done to just keep a straight face, keep a smile on your face, go in, focus on control what you can control. But at the end of the day, control what you can control is good. But at the end of the day, when you do get that, if you were to, God forbid, but if you do get that email about, hey, your role is no longer needed or has been terminated, at the end of the day, it has real implications behind that.
Or a
Is
text. Lucid sent out a
or text.
text,
Like I've seen some really like cold hearted examples of
allegedly.
these layoff stuff allegedly, but like it's like, these things have real implications, bro. It's real, it's family members involved, it's children, it's mortgage payments, it's college tuitions, it's car payments, it's all of these things that are kind of tied to this source of income, to this source of kind of like, providing and provisioning for a family, for people that you care about. So it's like, yeah, you can control what you can control, but at the end of the day, you got people to feed, you got mouths to feed, you got bills to pay, you got things to cover, bro. So it's like, it's hard to not still think about this stuff to a degree. Yeah, like I said, I think all those kind of like factors, I think they just swirl around a lot. And I think as time kind of goes on, right, like people just become more and more and more, people just become more and more like just stressed out, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of stress, man, I don't know. You heard about this thing? This kind of all relates to it because not only can your job destroy your mind, soul, and body, but so can the food that we eat, which we all know is cooked. But I don't know if you heard about this thing. I was actually just looking it up again because I was trying to find what states banned it. But the lab grown meat. So lab grown meat, I think, has recently been passed to be able to be sold in stores, and 8 states have now banned or temporarily blocked it, according to Black Millionaires underscore on Instagram. Matter of fact, let me see if I can share so that
that's my first time hearing about it, boss.
you haven't heard about the lab grown meat or like the states
I
that
mean,
banned it.
I've heard about it. I didn't know like the actual like what states. I haven't heard anything more than I've heard about it. I guess I just haven't really read into it though.
Let me see. Can you see it?
Isn't this what doesn't Chick-fil-A do this now? Like with their meat?
Yeah, I think Chick-fil-A. I don't know if it was lab grown. It was something. I think they stopped using non-GMO or something like that.
Wait,
They changed their chicken.
is Maryland on here or no?
But yeah, Maryland still allows it. You eating bioengineered lab that meat that grew in a Peachtree
I
dish.
think it's like Washington allows it as well.
Whoa.
So
Ha.
I don't know what you. It looks
I'm
like you
eating what the
also.
CEOs eat, brother man. I'm shopping where they shop.
All right, man.
They
South
not eating.
Korea. Why is this? I mean, like, I mean, lab grown meat sounds bad as is, but like, what's the actual like health? Like, have there been studies on like how that affects also cultivate cell cultured meat, growing animal cells in a controlled environment instead of raising and slaughtering?
I think the main issue with the lab grown meat is, so for people listening, right? The 8 states that have banned it or blocked it are Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Montana, Indiana, and Nebraska. Uh, Let me see, is that one? Either way, and basically the issue here is, for one, stuff grown in a lab. Like, it, in theory, right? If it's clean protein, like if it's actually just like straight uh, chemistry. So like it's everything your body needs and it has the right texture and everything. In theory, it might not be bad for you, but it's this takes process to a whole nother level. This is like process from the beginning. And I think the thing is, when you eat an animal, it's the way that it lived affects the meat. That's why you have different cows and like free range stuff. Like, and I've heard of people like who visited other countries or have family in other countries. They say the chicken fresh off their uncle's yard or whatever tastes better than any chicken you would get from the store. So like the way the animal lived impacts the quality of the protein. But when it's grown in a lab, like I don't are you looking up to see like the actual like health facts behind
Yes.
it? Because I'm gonna
Yes.
say for me, it's just like, bro, like I just want to eat like natural food, like food from the earth. And this is from a lab. You know what I mean?
Okay. So I'm seeing
Like, you want to show what you if you
I
found
don't know,
something.
I ain't gonna lie. Minor technical difficulty. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
we looking into some of the pros and cons of, I guess, cell-based meat. Yeah, okay, so I guess we can go through potential benefits. Cell-based meat include the reduced need for animal farming, slaughtering, improved animal welfare, and possibly fewer foodborne pathogens. Safety assessments are essential, but as contamination risk still exist. I'm trying to see what the actual like. Okay, so they're cultivated in sterile facilities. They eliminate the risk of, like I said, of foodborne pathogens like E. coli, and they reduce the need for antibiotics. They require a lot less land and water compared to traditional cattle farming. And then scientists can, I don't know how, if I like this or not, but they can theoretically tweak the fat and nutritional profiles of the meat to make it healthier. Don't know how I feel about that. But cons, I guess, high cost. Production is super expensive, requires specialized equipment and expensive growth media. A little bit of environmental uncertainty here. So while land use drops, the process is incredibly energy intensive. So the overall climate benefit, it really depends on the powering the facilities with renewable energy. Um, and then consumer acceptance, right? So texture and taste fine tuning are still ongoing. Some consumers have reservations about the artificial nature of the food. And then last thing is regulatory pushback, which I think is kind of like alludes to the post that you just had. But cultivated meat has faced outright bans in certain regions, including a few US states and also Italy, due to lobbying from traditional farming sectors. So I don't know. I think I would also need a list of what restaurants or like grocery stores have been selling artificial meat for me to understand, like, have I been like
Assuming it.
have I been consuming this, right? Like, have I been? Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone to Chick-fil-A. I mean, I usually get like grilled chicken from Chick-fil-A and stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's also artificial, but I couldn't tell you, bro.
People eating, I don't know. I feel like some stuff like what was it? I'm not was it the pink slime nuggets or whatever, and like people been eating mystery meat for a while. Like I see stuff in posts, people talking about you eating donkey ankles. Like
Yeah, that's insane.
it's just lab grown. I think it's more of a preference thing, bro. But I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I get both sides. You know, people don't want to keep seeing animals get killed, but I mean, it's
but like,
just look at the
okay,
cycle of life, brother. I don't know.
let's say if you're against animals being slaughtered, right? Are you then okay with animals being cloned, but just for like for the meat
Yeah,
only?
I'm about
Like
to say it's like it's low key like lesser of two evils, bro. Like,
that's what I mean, and look, I get it. I've talked to people who are vegans. I've talked to like people who have kids that are like, oh, you shouldn't kill animals, so they become vegans and all that. I get it. I just think that you should do things. You should give the animal a good life. Like that's what I personally believe. I feel like the animal should live a good life and it should be eaten. Like I think that's the ultimate respect to it. Like some animals, obviously, I wouldn't say that for a person or for a dog or a cat or anything like that. Like some animals are just meant to like live long because they're useful and they're like good to have around and they're nice. Other animals like chickens, they they grow quickly. I mean they do things and they help. Cows can be useful for like if you have a farm and things, but
mhm.
it's like you have to eat something. Like something has to be eaten. And yes, it doesn't need to be protein. I understand it. You don't have to eat animals, but I don't know. I don't know. I think humane. That's why I don't know if I've ever had halal food, but I think with halal
Yeah,
food,
I think it's like it's the way that they're. I don't want to be ignorant. I think it's the way that they're killed or slaughtered. It's like in a humane way.
it's like much better the way that they like you don't eat animals that were living in certain conditions, I think,
Yeah,
and
that's why I
killed a
don't eat
certain
like
way.
pork. Um,
Yeah, pork not. Hey,
yeah,
don't kill pigs, man. Keep those alive. I don't want those. I don't know what pigs do other than create manure, but
yeah, bro. Yeah, nah. I mean, yeah, nah. I mean, I think I have tried it before. Like at a couple, I've tried a lot of food before. It's just, I mean, it's very good. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I could tell a difference with like the meat, but it's still very good to me. So yeah.
halal and kosher too. I think I saw a video about kosher food and like they
Hmm.
don't eat certain things or like kill animals certain ways depending on like how strict you follow. But
Yeah, yeah, something all right.
Like, I think those are, like, good things that, because it's like, I've seen videos of, like, bad slaughterhouses, and for some reason, I've been seeing these, like, chicken processing videos that pop up, and, like, I know you have to kill a chicken, you have to cut its head off, I know you have to do it, but, like, bro, these people doing it with scissors, and I'm like, if I'm that, I can't imagine being hung upside down, having my neck pulled, and then somebody just snipping with scissors. I feel like a cleaver or something, just a one shot, like, just get it over with.
Yeah, it's nuts, bro. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's nuts. Come on, man.
Yeah, man. Other than the food, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. I haven't really been keeping up with let's talk about some brain rot for a second. With Love Island, but I know there's a lot of people who are super interested, having thick pieces. But I've been seeing like something about arguments and people going back and forth. Somebody's a boxer, and what's her name was in Tubi movies.
TT. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'm still on episode 12, bro. I haven't watched in like a week or two. So I'm super behind. But I just be like following the discourse on Twitter, and to me, it's like I don't know, bro. I feel like, bro, like these producers, bro, they know what they're doing, bro. Like they don't even care about these people finding love. They are all for like the discourse, the arguments, the division of community and culture on in online spaces, all for the sake of amping up their ratings and how many people watch their show nightly. Like it is very sick, but when you think about it, I mean, that's pretty much how every reality TV show is structured, and it's definitely unfortunate to see like it at the expense of one of these people's feelings, their real feelings about another person, kind of like being the butt end of a joke. But I don't know, man. I think it's I mean, it's my first time watching it. It's a very I mean, it's an interesting show. It can be a little much for me at times personally, but I mean, yeah, I mean, people follow it like like a religion though, man. Like I don't know, bro. I hope that people are also kind of like like this invested when it's time to vote stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
say
that's
you
that's kind of
follow.
where I don't know, bro, because it's low key like it's crazy. Like people, I haven't even seen nobody talk about this, bro. But there's been like a bunch of like I know there's been like a bunch of like Supreme Court decisions that happened this past week, and it's like it's so crazy because like bro, like um it's like nobody's even like talking about it because it's always been Love Island, bro. So like quickly, I'll just say like so as of June 20, this happened a couple days ago. The Supreme Court has handed down major rulings focusing on immigration, gun rights, and corporate liability. Um, They've allowed the termination of TPS for Haitian and Syrian nationals, restricting asylum seeker entry, strengthening gun rights on private property, and then limiting liability for the Roundup weed killer manufacturer. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So the first one, the court allowed the Trump administration to end temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians and ruled that asylum seekers cannot be considered as having arrived while still in Mexico. Another one, a gun rights law struck down a Hawaii law restricting carrying firearms on private property, strengthening the ability to carry on property open to the public. And then also, um, international law limited the scope of the Alien Tort Statute, restricting lawsuits in U.S. courts for international law violations, bro. I don't know why, bro, but it's like every time I hear about the Supreme Court, it sounds like somebody's rights are being stripped away. Some minorities, some marginalized communities' rights are being like stripped away, bro. And it's kind of nasty, man. Like it's kind of nasty, bro. So it's like that. So what this means, like this happened on last Thursday morning. So this means around 350,000 Haitians and several thousand Syrians in the U.S. on temporary protected status, they can immediately find themselves targeted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is ICE, unfortunately, for those that may not know the acronym, are can be deported, right? So this is just like it's like they look for any reason. Mind you, these are people that have been living in the country for years, you know, want to protect the status now, can be legally sniffed out by ICE and arrested or deported or worse. I really hope people vote, man. I really do.
As long as we have war, Love Island, movies, GTA 6, hey, life is good for these people, man. They don't care as long as they have those things. It don't matter if the Fed's knocking at the door. It don't matter if you can't afford food. It don't matter if people are getting brutalized right outside your front door. As long as they have those things, hey, maybe throw in some shrooms or something to really make them just less culpable. They feel good, man. They're vibing. That's all satire, by the way, for people. But yeah, no, it's jacked up, man. I think there's an issue with like mental elitism or like elitism in America. Like there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, they were here illegally. It doesn't matter how long. This is the law. They should be gone." But it's like, bro, you are also an immigrant. Like every single person in this country is an immigrant. I've even heard people say the natives were immigrants. And it's like, okay, well, if we're going back that far to call them immigrants, because sure, yeah, I'm sure North America at some point didn't have people. At some point in history, people came here, then everyone's an immigrant. And the law shouldn't be that strict. I mean, sure, if you want to say people coming in, like I know they were doing something about birthright citizenship with which, and I guess like I spoke to someone, the understanding was that it has to do with like being born here and not like going far back. I originally thought that it was they were going to try to go back and retroactively fix that so that
Mhm.
basically they could say black people were not US citizens. But the thing is, apparently, this is all alleged, by the way. Apparently there are some what Chinese people do. This is what the person told me. They told me that this, I don't know. I haven't looked into it. They said there's like what Chinese people do is they'll come to America, have kids, and go back to China, like literally just as a way to have U.S. citizens and whatever. And that they're doing it intentionally, not like they were here on vacation and had a baby. So the government was trying to stop that. Granted, like I said, this is what someone said. I'm not saying I believe this. I'm not saying that it's facts. But hypothetically, if it was a case where people are intentionally coming here just to give birth and then leaving, should that person have citizenship? Probably not. If that's how we're going to enforce the law, if we're going to change it, it should be moving forward, and it should be like certain circumstances. If we're going to change the law in general, because I do think that is a little like okay, I can see why people be upset about that. It's still to me, it's not that big of a deal. I think we have much bigger things to focus on than someone being born here, having citizenship. It's not, but if they are going to make a change, I can see that. But I think a
Mhm.
lot of it is just like people think like, oh, I came here, I did it the hard way, I did it, blah blah blah, acting like it was any more easy for other people. But I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I just think it's a lot of self hatred.
No, it is. And for context for everyone, so temporary protected status or TPS, it allows individuals from countries experiencing war or environmental disaster to live and work legally in the United States. So once again, these are people who are experiencing war or environmental disaster in their home country that are legally authorized to work and live in the United States. And that has just been stripped away for 350,000 Haitians and several thousand Syrians in the United States, right? And so we need to understand there are over 1.3 million immigrants who rely on TPS from 17 other countries. Imagine this Supreme Court ruling got, pushed through with a 6-3 vote. Understand this, all they're going to do is keep on trying to target the next and the next and the next and the next and the next. It's like way it looks like to me, it looks like they're trying to just purify the country, and you can take purify however you want, but it looks like folks are just trying to purify the country and just turn it into like a you know, like, I don't know. I just feel like the entire kind of like mantra of the land of the free has just been completely eradicated with this new administration. And like once again, I'll keep saying this in every episode we have until it gets to that point. But I just really pray that the same energy and the same think pieces that people have around Love Island and what Casey and I are doing, you have this for the midterms, brother. You're going out and you are voting. Granted, not saying you can't enjoy Love Island, bro. Enjoy it, watch every episode, stay right up when Peacock drops it. Just please, vote when it's time to vote, man. That's all.
And these people better pray that America's never in a situation where they need TPS in another country. They, but I mean, hey, man. Before jumping off the topic, we live in a country where somebody can be on the White House lawn, call the former first lady a man,
Man, like what are we doing, bro?
and no one says a word. So just the times we're in, man. You can't tell me that's nothing other than hatred, bro. And no one said anything about it. To like, no matter what you believe in, no matter your thoughts on racism, for a man in the White House to call, or on the White House lawn to call a former first lady a man in front of the world, in front of the sitting president of the United States, and no one says a word. Like, even if you're a racist, like you have to understand that sounds crazy. Like the
Come on,
only
bro.
people who justify something like this is like
You just hate black
yeah,
people.
like that's got like that. I don't even know. Like I feel like even the most racist of racist people, like if someone calls someone like remove the context of who it is, you just hear first lady called a man, like something in you has to just think like that's not okay. Like it wasn't a joke that he said with the boys. This was on the White House lawn.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed that a lot of people in his cabinet and his representatives, bro, they'll always tell you, no, 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 that's not what Trump meant. What he actually meant was, or they'll like take what he said. Like I remember the one
But
time he was like,
Trump didn't say it. I just want to clarify.
yeah, no, no, no. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
okay.
like as another example, like when he said when Trump had an interview, he's on the lawn about to get in a helicopter. He's like, yeah, I don't care about Americans' financial situation. I don't care about the situation. And then JD Vance came in. He's like, well, no, well, he didn't actually mean it like that, right? Like his words are often misconstrued. Like, bro, it's like they will take I'm talking about a verbatim direct quote directly from our president, and then they'll say what he meant. or how he actually meant for it to be intended or who it was actually intended for. I'm like, bro, if you have to do all this wordsmithing and all this redirection of what his statement actually meant, Mm, maybe just maybe there's a bit of fabrication going on, along that delivery. But yeah, man, I'm tired of it, bro. Yeah, nah. Midterms coming soon, chat. Hope everybody locked in. I'm locked in. I voted. I sent to my Maryland. I low-key was trolling. I got my Maryland ballot like 3 minutes before the poll closed. I was trolling, bro. I don't know why, but it was in the it counted. So respect.
Hey, man. Yeah, get out and vote. Get out and vote. We got things to do. Uh, and then the new Democratic Party, man. There's a lot of changes going on in there. People talk about Madani. Um, I don't know. I heard a take recently that said he's the front runner to run for president in the future. But I don't think people understand he can't run for president. Fortunately, he's ineligible.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of changes in the government system. So everyone just stay locked in, stay voting, vote for use that, share your voice. And yeah, change comes. I'm a Bulls fan, and change comes after a while. Fired the whole front off, fired everybody. Change comes. It might take forever, but change comes. Sometimes you get a Caleb Wilson, and sometimes you get a Patrick Williams.
Yeah, man. I'm excited about this draft class. This whole draft class been talking crazy too, bro. Like,
What AJ say? He said, "I don't need a workout."
he don't need to work out. Darren Peterson wasn't working out for nobody. He thought he was going number one. Yaxel on the Warriors said, "Yeah, bro. Like, I'm basically going to start immediately because this team is sorry right now." I
These dudes
seen
crazy.
LeBaron on those Sixers. He's like, yeah, first dude whose ankles are breaking the Sengun. Like, they've been talking spicy, bro. So I'm messing with it. But yeah, no, it's gonna be an exciting season. We are unfortunately in that great period where there is no sports on. Actually, no, the World Cup has been fire.
There's no
I'm about to say,
sports.
let me rephrase it before they jump in. World Cup has actually been fire. I just don't typically follow. I really only kind of like tap more with football or soccer, I should say. During World Cup time, I'm not gonna lie. The best like players in the world have been playing like at peak. Like Mbappe has been killing, Messi's been killing, like Ronaldo been singing it up, but it's like Holland has been like I ain't gonna lie. Every like top like dog has been playing like a top dog. So I've been enjoying it. It's a different level of competition. I think like just like hunger when you playing for your country and your back, bro. So I'm gonna be excited. Definitely be watching this round of 32. Yeah, we'll be tapped in. I personally, I lucky thing is about it. I got France winning it all, bro. They got too many dogs on that team. But we're gonna see, bro. We can revisit this in a couple weeks, man.
Yeah. I haven't seen. I mean, shout out to the 9 African teams that made it to the
Yeah,
knockout
nine
rounds.
out of 10, bro. That's
9 out of 10.
insane.
Cape Verde, shout out. I think I'm saying it right. I think it was Cape Verde. Uh, Cape Verde. People know what I'm talking about. They had the smallest nation by population, and they're the smallest team to make it. So good for that. Or smallest nation by population to make it. Uh, I haven't really been watching much. I mean, I've seen the fans. Like I've seen a lot of people are traveling to the U.S. for that. Which I mean, hey, that's crazy that they got the money for that, bro. I mean, I know like the U.S. depending on where you're coming from, it's cheaper. Like if you're coming from the U.K., the U.S. is cheap.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
cheaper. Like their money's worth more, but it's still like those flights, bro. And then you get here,
Mm-hmm.
especially the ones in Seattle, bro. I mean, stuff is tax.
That's
But
crazy. 'Cause I know that Iran, it's so stupid because, bro, I think after every single game, they have to fly back to Mexico because they aren't allowed to stay in the country. And it's like, I get we have beef for the country, but it's just like, I mean, you're gonna take it out. I mean, I think I saw that like we were the first country we hosted a World Cup team and bombed their country. They had a game and then we bombed their country in the same day, which is insane to read. Um, yeah.
ridiculous.
Um,
It's like, hey, hospitality while we blow up your home. It's,
Yeah, bro. It's yeah. Iran, they played a pivotal World Cup match hours after the country got bombed by the US. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
what
Uh,
happened to like? I could have sworn events like this were supposed to be like peaceful. Like I'm not saying that all the violence stops, but I thought like in these times when it is like international competition, like Olympics and things, that it's almost like a peace treaty for a little bit. But I guess the powers that be never sleep.
yeah, brother.
It's unfortunate, man. People at home in some of these countries can't even watch. Can't even they don't have power lines to even watch the games if they wanted to, bro. It's insane.
That's man. Hey, that's where we in, bro. So
Uh,
today, bro.
yeah. A lot going on. Everyone stay aware. I mean, I gotta ask you, what you I saw, bro. Obsession was great, but like fantastic. And I've been watching guys skits since then. Dude is a comedic and I guess horror genius as well. He's been putting out stuff for some years. I
I
think
saw
he
he got
started
contracted for something
recently.
else too.
Bro, I think he's taking over Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think it was, is what they
That's
put him
fire.
on for.
That's
So
fire.
that'll be dope if that's true. I have to check. But man, it's a lot going on. We got Spider-Man coming out.
I ain't gonna lie. July is gonna be a month for movies, a month for film. I'm ready.
I'm ready. There's a lot of Evil Dead and my like I like those movies. Spider-Man. What else is coming out in July? Um, isn't not Odyssey? Is it the Odyssey? Does that come out in
I
July or
think
is
it.
that later? I think
Let me
that's the
see.
fall.
Yeah, I think it's not coming until like November or something. But I do know it should be some more. Okay, maybe I lied. No, actually, no. Odyssey does come out July 17th.
July 7th. Yeah, Odyssey. I'm not a big fan of like them type of movies, but like that movie is really intriguing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go
Odyssey's
see
gonna
it.
come out July 17th. Minions and Monsters, Spider Man.
Toy Story's out right now.
I do gotta go see that. I thought, yeah, I gotta go see that in Twitch right now. Yeah,
I haven't
we
seen
we,
the
we,
fourth
we,
one.
we got things to watch,
It's a lot going on. We got Avengers at the end of the year. I'm hyped for that, man. Uh, hey, and if these GPU prices go down, I would get a P7 so I could play Wolverine. But 1500 to $2,000 for a PlayStation is crazy.
man.
Y'all
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Oh, that's another thing. Lastly, GTA 6. You people, right? You people, for one, need to stop paying resale for a game that you can buy for retail. There's no shortage. Two, you people need to stop expecting to pay $100. I saw people who were almost upset that the game did not start at $100, even though it essentially does if you want the full game. You need to stop just being eager to rip your wallet open and willing to pay so much for. I don't care if it's the most anticipated game ever. Have some respect. Have some self-respect. Don't just say, "Oh, I thought you were going to charge me more," and then want them to charge you more and not stop doing that. It's not going to go down. Just like these plane ticket prices, they're only going to get more expensive. They're not going to go back down. Respect yourself and respect your kids. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Y'all stay blessed. Scary times out there. We gonna persevere, man. Appreciate everybody that listen.
Thanks, man. Peace out.
Peace, boss.